So I saw this picture, okay, from Grums, and I didn't even realize this was a thing. Okay. Now, for me personally, you guys know my history with World of Warcraft. I was playing since literal day one. Okay. I have a multitude of achievements for server first nonsense from all the way up to Wrath of the Lich King. That's when at the end of Wrath of the Lich King, that's when I stopped. Because the expansions that came after that were pretty fucking terrible in my opinion. So I really wasn't a big fan of them. So Wrath of the Lich King, obviously back then the game was totally different. And even now the game is totally different compared to what it was. But apparently, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but when I saw this, I didn't even know what to even think. Actually, that's not true. The first thing I thought of was this is just trying to make the game console friendly. Okay. But in any case, apparently World of Warcraft has added the single button assistant. Now, keep in mind, okay, this single button assistant thing was already being done by some of the add-ons that were available for the game. But to my knowledge, World of Warcraft has announced recently that they are going to be stopping all mod support. To my knowledge, they're going to be stopping all mod support for the game. And they said they're going to do this because they are going to incorporate their own UI overhaul that's going to do basically everything those mods did so that you don't have to utilize mods. Okay? So these are some big fucking changes, right? Big changes to what World of Warcraft was. World of Warcraft, since its launch, which I believe was in either 2004 or 2005, since its launch, has always been a game that has supported mods. Since its launch, okay? The fact that now they are removing all mods, and then on top of that, also adding a single button assistant. So basically, every brain dead motherfucker can DPS like a king, basically. Every brain dead son of a bitch can essentially do whatever, like there is no skill left to be had here. Very little. Very little. I don't understand how this is even an MMORPG at this point. This honestly should just be a mobile game at this point, because mobile games are what has these kind of features. Mobile games are what have these one button touch features. I mean, it's already bad enough that World of Warcraft was lowered to a fucking pathetic standard that it's not even considered, I wouldn't consider it an MMO at this point. It's just basically like just a mobile game. But in any case, the fact that you have now devalued yourself to the point of using a one-touch button, it's insane to me. It's a literal, like, I don't want to learn how to play my class, so let me just use this button kind of a thing. But yes, a lot of you guys seem shocked at the idea that they are not doing mod support anymore. Let me break that up. World of Warcraft stops mods. Let me see if I can find the article. Hold on. So let's see. No more add-ons. And it's crazy because you got people on the forums advocating for this before the announcement even went up. I'm looking at look at some of these. Look at this. Let me show you a post on the forums. And keep in mind, man, people have been arguing on the World of Warcraft forums for ages. You got this person whose name is Rage Pooch. What's the chances of that being a real person? I think it's time we got a version of WoW without add-ons. Gear score, parsing, weak auras, and debuff tracking is seemingly ruining the game. We saw it in Phase 1 and Phase 2, where getting into a pug with bad or no parses was hard for underperforming classes. We saw the cringy gear score posts in LFG channel at level 25. We have to explain to the newer players that the only way to play WoW is to play WoW with the debuff and CD trackers all over your screen. I think at any point or phase of SOD would have been a great time to get rid of add-ons. It would really introduce Classic WoW the way that it was meant in a new spin. If that was the case, then Classic WoW wouldn't have allowed add-ons. Add-ons have been around for a long time. And at this point, you know what it is? So the people that complain about this stuff, from my experience, are usually not all the time, but usually they are the underperformers in a group. They're the ones who are absolute garbage at their class. They're the ones who are absolute garbage at DPS. Usually, it's usually DPS. They are so bad that when people use parses to call them out on their underperformance, they want to blame the parse. They rather blame the parse than actually work on getting better. So now the combination of add-on removal with the single touch button tells me that World of Warcraft is essentially trying to adhere, and keep in mind, they've always been doing this. They're trying to adhere to the lowest common denominator in hopes to keep them playing. That's literally what it is. Raven says, I miss old WoW. Of course, me too. I miss old WoW. WoW was amazing back during its prime. The discovery was just unbelievable. Every time you go into a new zone, it's just incredible. So anyway, it brings us to here. Let me see if I can bring this up really quick. So got an article from PC Gamer. So this is the big news right here, right? So in case you guys were unaware of this, I forgot to talk about this the other day. So Blizzard is making a huge World of Warcraft change. Combat add-ons will be eliminated, with new features coming to replace some of their functions. Some, not all, some. So keep in mind, there are some add-ons that make the game genuinely better to play because Blizzard is lacking, and has always been lacking, in their UI. And now they are trying to eliminate all the add-ons, but they're only essentially going to be replacing some of them, not all of them. All the details on Blizzard's planned changes to World of Warcraft add-ons, which will end support for the MMO's most popular mods. It says that World of Warcraft senior game director Ion Hazakostas dropped a bomb in Blizzard broadcast today, one that many suspected would someday hit. At an undetermined point in the future, WoW will stop allowing add-ons to read combat events or auras. I wonder if they're going to walk this back. I really do. I wonder if they're going to walk this back because, listen, Blizzard in its history has announced many changes that they end up walking back because of community feedback. I wonder if this will be one of them. I wonder if this will cause enough of a backlash on the forums or enough of a fight on the forums that will eventually make them have to walk it back a little bit. Or maybe there's another reason why they're doing this. Because keep in mind, their competition, Final Fantasy XIV, does not utilize add-ons. You cannot use add-ons, at least not legally anyway, in Final Fantasy XIV. I know Final Fantasy XIV has like a really ghetto DPS meter. But aside from that, you really can't use add-ons. But the game is designed so well that you don't need add-ons. Everything happens in-game for you to figure out, right? So I wonder if this has anything to do with it. But I think at this point, this is the equivalent of, in my opinion, trying to fix what's not broken, right? Nobody was complaining about add-ons in any sort of actual meaningful way. Not in a way that was affecting any kind of like, real progression from raiding guilds or anything like that. Not that I could see anyway. I haven't seen anybody complaining about it other than people who are getting called out for being trash players. I think you could have kept the add-ons and put the one-button rotation button in, and that way the bad players can suddenly become good or decent, and then everything would be fine. Because as long as they're getting praised, I don't think they're going to care about the add-ons personally. But anyway, this is one of the biggest changes that I have ever seen in an MMO happen so long after it's been out. This is something that should have happened decades ago at this point. But now it's happening now, which I just find it to be very strange. So I just wanted to talk about that and give you guys a little bit of insight over all of it. And if you are a World of Warcraft player still to this day, then I wonder what you think about it. I really do. Look at this. World of Warcraft's latest patch is a bugstravanza. I can't even say that word. The likes of which I haven't seen in my 21 years playing WoW. Bro, 21 years playing the same game. Oh my God. I thought I was crazy from when I used to play the original EverQuest. But wow. I mean, to think about it, that's really not that far off because Final Fantasy has been out for over 10 years, right? Final Fantasy 14 has been out for over 10 years. Final Fantasy 11 has been out even longer than that, right? EverQuest has been out even longer than that. So it's really not that crazy when you think about it. But still, it's a wild, wild number when you really think about it.